Arriving sooner than I, and many others, expected, Grid Legends Deluxe Edition launches on the Nintendo Switch 2 on January 29th. Thanks to the publisher, I've been able to dive into the game over the past week, spending plenty of time racing, exploring all the content of the game, and getting a feel for the performance, features, and fine-tuning done specifically for this Switch 2 version of the game. Now for this review, I'm going to be focusing on 3 key areas for this game: the graphics and performance, as well as the control support options. And finally, I'll be going over what is included with the game content-wise. But before I dive into Grid Legends, I feel like I should take a moment and just briefly talk about Feral Interactive's previous Grid series port for the original Switch. The Switch version of Grid Autosport was praised by many, myself included, for how well it ran and looked on the system. It looked absolutely gorgeous for the platform. Arguably, it's the best looking racing game for the original Switch. And that's a credit to the developers, the time and care they put into the port. The developers went the extra mile by including multiple graphical settings, allowing players to choose between higher visual fidelity at 30 FPS or improved performance 60 FPS, as well as included options designed to save battery life during handheld play. Visuals aside, the developers also expanded control options for the game, far beyond the use of the standard Joy-Cons and Pro Controller. I mean, of course, you could still use that, but the game also supported Hori wheel controllers, the Nintendo Labo Toy-Con car kit, if you believe that, as well as it included support for the GameCube controller that enabled full analog trigger support. With that all in mind, it's easy to see why expectations are high for Grid Legends on the Switch 2, and the developers are well aware of that. Much of the mindset that guided their previous Switch release carries over here, shaping how Grid Legends has been approached on the new hardware. Anyway, first up, let's talk about the graphics and performance, which for many will be the #1 concern with this release. Simply put, you're probably wondering, how well does it run? The answer is pretty darn good. Much like the Switch version of Grid Autosport, Grid Legends on Switch 2 includes multiple optimization presets. In dock play, users can choose between prioritizing graphics or performance. The graphics mode delivers the best possible image quality, featuring higher quality textures and all the available visual effects the game has, including smoke, the ground haze, lighting effects, and detailed reflections. In races with wet conditions, for example, you see the water splashing across the windshield, dynamic lighting reflections both inside and outside the car, and a wealth of visual detail that generally looks pretty impressive. The trade-off, however, is that this mode caps the frame rate at 30 FPS. For those who prefer higher frame rates, the performance mode is definitely the way to go. With this setting enabled, the game operates at a mostly consistent 60 FPS. While some visual effects are reduced compared to graphics mode, the game still looks pretty great in performance mode, and the higher frame rates makes everything feel noticeably smoother in motion. For most players, I feel like this will be the preferred option for dock play. In handheld play, the game offers even more optimization presets. As before, there are options to favor either graphics or performance for higher frame rates. With the performance setting, players can also disable the enhanced visual effects to help maintain smoother frame rates in portable play. In fact, when you enable the performance setting in handheld play, it will automatically disable the enhanced visual effects. You can enable it if you wish, but honestly, I think it still looks visually great in portable play with that disabled. In addition to those two settings, for players they can also choose a balanced option that strikes a middle ground between the graphics and performance presets, as well as there is a battery saver mode that further streamlines the game to help conserve battery life on the Switch 2. Regardless of which setting you choose, and it's great that there's so many options included, the game looks excellent on the system. If there's only one thing you should take away from this video, it should be the fact that Grid Legends is visually impressive on Switch 2. This is going to be especially apparent during intense moments of the game, such as races with heavy weather effects, although there's a lot of stuff happening on screen at once. Even then, the game holds up very well on the hardware. The developers have done a very good job with this game in that regard. Beyond the visuals, and much like Grid Autosport, the developers have once again included a wide range of controller options. The game supports the digital triggers of the Switch 2 controllers, while also offering a way to use the right thumbstick to simulate analog throttle and braking, an option that many players preferred to use in the prior game. GameCube controller support also returns this time around, with the game fully taking advantage of Nintendo's new Nintendo Classics GameCube controller. That option actually ended up being my preferred way to play this game, with the right stick analog control being my go-to method during portable play. Additionally, Hori wheel support makes a return this time around too, so if you happen to have one of those, you can use that with this game. For those concerned about the graphics, performance, and the control options, I can confidently say of those aspects, the developers have done a solid job. With that said though, there's a few more things I want to talk about before I wrap things up. I want to briefly touch over the gameplay and what's included in this version, especially considering this is the Deluxe Edition of the game. For those new to the game, or to the series as a whole, the gameplay of Grid Legends is a blend of simulation and arcade racing. It incorporates elements of simulation racing, such as vehicle damage, driving assist, car handling, and AI aggression, while also maintaining the accessible pick-up-and-play feel of arcade racing. Just like in prior games of the series, one of the strengths of Grid Legends is how customizable the difficulty is. The game offers a wide range of settings and lets you tailor the experience to your preferences. Most of Grid Legends gameplay revolves around participating in different types of events, namely in story mode, the career mode, and through the various free play options. In Grid Legends, there is a story mode, which is a first for the series. In this mode, you race through a variety of events that are all tied together by live-action cutscenes that tell an overarching story. The story included with the original release, titled Driven to Glory, follows an unnamed driver, aka you, on their journey towards the championship. Since this is the Deluxe Edition, this version also includes the 4 post-launch DLC packs, each of which add additional stories to play through in story mode. These expansions also feature their own live-action cutscenes and dedicated events. Career mode consists of a wide range of challenges and events that you can complete in. This is where Grid Legends really shows its variety compared to the prior release on the original Switch, both in terms of playable vehicles and racing styles. This mode features everything from standard race cars, to trucks, to even tractor trucks, to open-wheel racers, drift cars, and even special vehicles. Beyond traditional circuit and motorsport racing, there's also a diverse selection of event types. These include off-road tracks, drift events, elimination-style races, boost racing events, and multi-class events, where different types of cars compete against one another. Some of this content was added to the original release through DLC, but since this is the Deluxe Edition, all of that is included in this package. As you race and complete events in both story mode and career mode, you'll unlock additional events to play in career mode. Finally, there's a single-player mode, which includes several options. There's Quick Race, that lets you jump straight into a randomly generated race, Single Race, which allows you to fully customize an event to your preferences, and Custom Cup, which lets you do the same across multiple events. Also available in single-player are dynamic events, frequently changing challenges where you can compete against other players for the best times on online leaderboards, and these can sometimes unlock additional rewards. Now, as I've talked about these modes and all that, you probably noticed something that's missing: multiplayer. Unfortunately, there is none. It has been completely removed from this version, including the 22-player online multiplayer that other versions have, which is a huge disappointment, especially considering that Grid Autosport on the original Switch had online multiplayer. The only reason I can reasonably deduce for its removal is cost. Grid Legends, via its Deluxe Edition on other platforms, typically retails for $79.99 USD, while the Switch 2 version here is priced at $39.99 USD, a much lower price point at half the cost. My assumption is that the goal was to keep the game as affordable as possible by simply making it a digital-only release and by removing online multiplayer. That said, there is online leaderboards, which I've discussed earlier. Those are still included, so there is at least some kind of online functionality. But yeah, the lack of online multiplayer is going to be a big concern for many players. That aside, I wouldn't let that hold you back from checking out Grid Legends on Switch 2, especially if you like racing games. The presentation and performance of the game on the system is impressive. The wide range of control options, including GameCube controller support, is much appreciated, and the core racing gameplay is strong in this one, with plenty of difficulty options to suit players' preferences. Between the single-player modes, and this being the Deluxe Edition that includes all the DLC for the game, there is a nice amount of racing content here for anyone looking to dive in. I've had an absolute blast playing Grid Legends this past week, and I've been generally impressed by the performance. It's a really solid game, and if you're looking for a good racing game for your Switch 2, then this game is definitely worth picking up. Grid Legends Deluxe Edition will be available on the eShop for $39.99 USD, or a regional equivalent. For now, it remains a digital-only release, with no physical version announced, but I'll keep you updated if anything changes. Let me know down below in the comments if you plan to pick this up, as well as feel free to ask any questions that you may have about the game. Make sure you're subscribed and notifications turned on so you do not miss out on any future videos. But for now, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. I'll see you soon on the next video. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a lot more racing to do in Grid Legends. There's a lot more trophies I gotta add to my collection.